So in fifth grade, we start band instruments. And the reason that we do this is because number one, it's a natural progression from doing music from TK all the way to fifth grade. They've been learning how to read music, learning how to sing. Then they play instruments like the xylophone and percussion instruments. And then we go to the recorder. And so the progression from the recorder is to play on a real instrument. And this also feeds into our middle school band uh, elective, which if we didn't have a fifth grade band, it'd be very hard to build the middle school band. So it's kind of to help them see, do I want to pursue music? Do I want to keep going with this? They are only required to do it for the year. And then at the end of fifth grade, they can decide, do they want to continue into the middle school band, or do they want to say, that was nice, but I think I'm going to go do something else. And a lot of people fall in love with music. I have a lot of sixth graders this year. I would say at least 12 sixth graders in my band this year from fifth grade band last year, which is great. So we're building the band back up. You know, COVID kind of decimated our program. We're very small for the past 3 years, and this year it's doubled. Last year it was 14, this year it's 28. So we're still building on that, and I think it's a really great opportunity for all the fifth graders to have a chance to try an instrument, because this is the perfect age for them to learn. They're still sponges. And they say the best time to start an instrument is before 10 or at 10 years old. So they're right at that cusp where they can still absorb all that information and run with it. So this is the perfect time to start. I actually did start band in fifth grade. I started on the flute in fifth grade. It was a pull-out program. So they came and got us once or twice a week, and we worked together for an hour or so. I think it's a really great opportunity that all of the fifth graders get to try band. So I know that maybe some of you did not know that this occurred, and I'm sorry that you didn't know about it, but it is really a special program. So we're going to do our best to get an instrument in the hands of your child. And the best way that we do this is through instrument rentals. And we do recommend renting because, well, when your student is just, or your child is just trying an instrument, you don't know if they're going to stick with it. You don't know if they're going to want to change instruments. So I would not, unless your child is like, oh my gosh, this is the instrument for me. I know it in my bones. Please buy it for me. I would not necessarily purchase an instrument. Or if you can find an instrument for an affordable price that is in good shape, then you can buy the instrument. But again, you have to make sure that it's in good playable condition, because if it's not, your child will have a hard time learning on that instrument, and then they won't like it. So if you have a question about an instrument that you are looking to purchase, make sure that it is playable. If you want to ask me, hey, can you look at this instrument? I would love to do that if there's an opportunity for me to look at it beforehand. Or you could take it to an instrument repair person, and I can give you a reference for that, and they can look at it and say, yes, this is a good quality instrument, or no, you should not pay money for this. Or sometimes it just needs a few repairs. But the rental program is really great because you get a high quality instrument. Sometimes they're brand new, sometimes they're gently used, but they have been fully cleaned, fully repaired. Every year they're made sure that they're ready to go for the students. So they get a better instrument than if they borrow from the school, or if you purchase a used instrument. Usually it's higher quality to get a rental. We do have a few instruments here at the school, but it is a limited amount. So I do only offer those for families that are in financial strain, and you can email me and I will send you the application. And again, that's limited by how many instruments we have. We are not a public school as far as being part of the district, so we don't get grants for instruments. So the instruments that we have been donated to us. So I will do my best to find you an instrument if we don't have it. And yeah, and then we have the rental program. So what questions do you have about the program? You can type it or you can just open your mic and tell me.
I have a question. So
Mhm.
in terms of if they aren't satisfied with the instrument that they've chosen, when and how often could they switch out? Like, are they married to it for a certain amount of time? Say, oh, my child wants to play clarinet. Are they married to that for a certain amount of time? Or say, come a month later, they're like, clarinet's not for me. I'm going for trombone.
I will give them an opportunity to switch. I would prefer they only switch one time.
Uh-huh.
And I would like them to switch as early as possible. If they're after a month, and I do want them to give it a month because it does
Right.
take time.
Right.
After a month, they absolutely hate their instrument, can't make a sound on it, then I would recommend them trying a different instrument. And I would have them try the instruments we have here before settling on a new instrument to switch, because I don't want them to switch and switch and switch and switch.
Of course.
I have had several students in the past want to switch in January after not practicing over winter break, and then they come back and it's hard to play. That's a little late in the year. So I would prefer they do it earlier in the year, because if you start on a new instrument, you have to learn all of the things we already learned on that instrument. So the earlier, the better. But I
Okay.
want them to give it a little time, practice at home. And, if they're really like, this is not working for me, I tried it, I tried everything, then we can switch. And that's another thing about the rental, is that it's easy to switch instruments, because you can just go to music and arts and say, this trumpet is not working for me, I really want to switch to a clarinet, and you can easily exchange the instruments. It
Okay.
might be a different rental price, so you might have an adjustment in price, like if you went
Right.
smaller instrument to a bigger instrument, but it is a pretty easy way to switch.
Okay.
Miss Filippi,
Yes.
I have a question for children who may need more different ways of assessing what kind of an instrument would work, such as arm. Is there a plan, or should we connect with you separately so we can come up with a separate plan for how to assess, so that you would understand what the interest is, what the capabilities are, matching the interest, etc.?
Yes, I would like to work with you on a one-on-one basis. I did have Aram try the different mouthpieces,
Mhm.
so he can tell you which one he liked best. They do have instrument stands so that the instrument can be held, which is helpful. If you can't hold up the instrument, they'll
Mhm.
be able to play it. So there are definitely a lot of adaptations created for band instruments. So we can talk about, what would be best for him particularly.
Okay, I'll message you, so maybe we can have a Teams meeting for that. Thank you.
That would be great. Yeah. I'm looking at the questions over here. They take lessons once a week during music class prep. They have more opportunities at school to play and learn. Yes, so we meet once a week. The fifth grade music class becomes beginning band. So every music class will be band class. A lot of students ask, is it optional? No, because I have nowhere else to put them. There's no other music teacher. I'm the only one. So during our music time, we play instruments. Um, there may be other opportunities for them to perform. I don't have all of that information. I do have our winter concert dates. However, I did find out that our winter concert date is the same day as the Mary Poppins show that is happening on campus with the musical theater program. So I'm going to see if we can either make that earlier in the day, or it might do a different day, but it would be still in that last week of December before the winter break. And then we have the spring concert. Spring concert is usually much more well attended because the students have been playing longer. And that's going to be on May 23rd right now. I don't have a time yet, but I will post it as soon as I have it. I'm looking for other opportunities for them to perform, whether that's on campus or possibly off campus at like a retirement home or something fun like that. So that if they were really gung ho about it, maybe we could put together a small group and we could go perform as a small group rather than as the whole group. When do they need to know which instrument? Okay, so talking about switching, we already talked about that. The rental company would, that's the easiest way to switch. If they're already renting an instrument, then they can just contact Music and Arts and they can switch out the instrument, whether shipping it back to them or going to a store, which I would recommend. When do we need to know what instrument they want to play by? I would like to start band on the 20th. So that would be not this week, but the next week. So in order to have all the instruments rented in time so that they can be brought to the school, then the deadline is Friday. If by Friday they're still like, I do not know which instrument, then I can help them with that. They can come on Thursday at lunch and they can try a couple of instruments to help them make that decision. So I will always work with them. But we did try mouthpieces in class.
Miss Felipe, are you choosing the instrument or are the students choosing the instrument?
The students generally are choosing the instruments. If we have a ton of one instrument and none of another instrument, I would recommend a couple of those players on the instrument that is too much to switch to those that we don't have. For instance, if everybody wants to play saxophone and we have no clarinets, I would ask like at least 3 of those to switch to clarinet, which is very similar. So if the instrumentation is way off balance, then I will ask them to choose a different instrument, but generally they get to choose their instrument. The only one that I do not let them just choose is percussion. And the reason is I can only have so many percussionists in one class. My max is 4. I'd prefer 2 or 3 because for one thing, my room is small and it gets very loud with a lot of percussion. And also I want as many people as possible to try a wind instrument. Wind instruments are so much different than percussion instruments. So I want to give them that opportunity to try a wind band instrument and see if they're able to play it. If, say they've already been taking percussion lessons, like drum lessons, they have a better chance of playing percussion. But sometimes I ask those that have been taking drum lessons to try a wind instrument because I think that they could be good at both. So the percussion is limited. Everything else is pretty much what the students choose unless there's too much of an imbalance. I'm reading the comments. Okay, question about the extra accessories. So the other items that are on the rental page there, they are optional, except for if you play a saxophone or a clarinet, you will need reeds. So that's really not optional. You do need those. You could order them from somewhere else, but the ones that are on the Music and Arts website are the good ones. You do not want them to start on a cheap reed because they won't have a good experience. And again, it'll be hard for them to play. So everything else is optional, but recommended. The music stand is more for home practice. They don't really need the stand here at school unless we're doing a concert, but they would probably like the cleaning supplies, the ear filters. The book is for home practice as well. Yes, Claudia.
Okay, speaking of reeds, I don't know, maybe she's wrong because she plays the violin, but she said that she was able to try the other instruments, like a clarinet, I think, and one other one. And I said to her, but that requires a reed. How did you do that? Are they sharing reeds? Because that
No.
kind of grossed me out a little bit. And I was like, what? How did you do that?
So what they had was these mouthpiece testing kits made by Jupiter, and the each mouthpiece is made of rosin. So it's a plastic material, like a hard plastic, and the reed is plastic as well. And each one was
Oh.
sanitized thoroughly
Mm,
before another student tried it. So they were not the wooden reeds, which yes, they are harder to sanitize.
Okay,
They were
that
a-
makes sense.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more question. How long do we have to rent the instruments for?
Well,
Just so I can get an idea on the pricing.
their last concert is May 23rd. So that is how
Okay.
long I expect them to have the instrument.
Okay, thank you.
But the rental agreements, just so we're all clear, it's month to month
It is month
nonetheless.
to month, yes. If, say your child is like, I absolutely love this instrument, I want to play it for my whole life, and it's a couple months in and you're like, okay, well, I'll just buy the instrument. You
Yeah.
can put your rental credit towards the purchase of a new instrument through musical.
Oh,
Yes. If at the end of
Okay.
the year they decide to go into middle school band, you can purchase an instrument through them with the rental credit. So whatever you've been paying per month will go towards a new instrument.
okay.
Which
So in
is-
our case, French horn, $60 a month. We pay for 10 months, whatever, $600 will
Yeah.
go towards the purchase of an
new-
instrument. Is that new or used or only new instruments?
No, I believe, and Stephanie, maybe you can answer this. Oh, where did-
Stephanie.
Absolutely. Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I am with Music and Arts. I am the school service representative for CHIME.
Hi.
So I've been coming to CHIME, oh my goodness, for, I don't know, close to 10 years now. So maybe I've met many of you, possibly if you have older children, or if you're someone who works in the front office. So hello again. Also, before I get too far into talking too much about the program, I will be there on Thursday night at the back to school night. I'll have a table out at the vendor area, and you can come on by and we can go over the rental program again. And or I can also help you do the sign up right there. We can do it all online. You fill everything out. It is a month-to-month rental. The rental payment goes towards the purchase of any new or used instrument of equal or greater value of what you rent. So in your case, French horn mom, yours is going to be at $60 a month. There is a loss and
Yes.
damage waiver that we recommend you do because that allows for the exchanging. And if anything goes wrong with the instrument, if it gets dropped and it has a bent something or
Yep.
the string comes off of that French
Yep.
horn, or if you're playing a saxophone and somebody bangs into the keys and now we've got squeaks and honks coming out of it, maybe something got misaligned, I actually will come over to you and I will exchange it there at the school. So
Okay.
you don't need to go chasing around town. I can also let you know that as far as flutes, trumpets, trombones, and the percussion and clarinet, I'm sorry. So flute, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and percussion, those rent for $23 for the first month and then $31 for each month thereafter. So we're giving a little bit of break on that one. The alto saxes rent for $42 a month, I believe, for the first month. And then I think they jump up to around $50 with loss and damage waiver. And again, that's each month. So it's just the rental part. I do recommend the loss and damage waiver. It also will cover if the instrument is stolen with a police report, which means break and entry. If it's just left on the playground, we go back the next day and it's not there anymore, that's not covered. And that would be true
Right.
under any insurance plan, just so we're clear on that. Otherwise, it's a pretty easy program. And I can also back up as Ms. Felipe was saying about the mouthpiece testing. We did do that last Wednesday, I believe. And those kids were great. They were so excited. I'm going to say majority of the kids kind of already all know what they want to play. They have a first and second choice. So, by all means, if they know what they're going to play, and as long as Ms. Felipe already sees what the ensemble is going to look like, we should be ready to help you out on Thursday if you're going to be at the back to school night to get the rental started so I can make sure all instruments are brought over for Wednesday morning on the 20th. And I will be there throughout the day with Ms. Felipe for any questions or any students. If you're worried, how are they going to put this together? What's going to happen? We will be there to help out to get the youngsters started. So no worries.
So if we do the whole registry, excuse me, rental process online, so forth, it will already, because we're registered as CHIME. I've gone on the website and kind of started the process. it'll already be assumed that the instrument will be delivered on the 20th.
Correct. So when you go in, you want to go into musicarts.com,
Mhm.
select the red button or choose the rental menu, and then do the let's get started. It's going to ask you, the next question will be, is it a public, private school? That's the one you want to choose, not a home
Right.
school, not adult or private lessons. Next, it will ask you for their grade level. Please put that in. And then the next page is the important page. You want to select your school. You want to make sure you put in for CHIME. Make sure you
Mhm.
choose the state of California. I think only 2 pop up anyways, or
If
populated.
you put in CH, it already comes up CHIME Charter. Yeah, CHIME.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you just choose that. And as you go through, you'll notice as just as you get prior to going on to the checkout page, it says, oh, do you want to pick it up at a store? Ignore that. Just check out.
Okay.
Because
That's
once
the
you
part that I'm-
populate past there, it will
Okay.
then give you the option. Well, there are 2. Well, actually, there are 3 options. I can deliver it at the event, which will be on the 20th, technically. Also, I can deliver to the school, which will be on the 20th, or we can ship to home. I don't recommend shipping to home. Let's get them all together at the school all at once. There's no charge for me to bring it, so let me do that. And that'll help then make it much smoother for Ms. Felipe and I to get started with each of the groups as they come throughout the morning, because there are about 25 to about 28 students in each class that goes through. And this way, then we can really maintain it much better. And I'll bring all supplies over. So if they're needing extra supplies, it will all come over with their name in a bag or in a box with their instruments. So it'll all be done. And then when you're doing the rental online, just to let you also know, it's an automatic debit from your account then, whether it's a revolving or a debit account, each month until the instrument is returned. And if you're going to only play for the year, the student only wants to play for the year, they don't want to continue, I pick them up at the end of the school year, usually the day or so or within the week after the concert. If they're going to continue, though, for the following year, we can talk about it more, but just quickly, it would be my recommendation, you continue to rent it so that you continue to build that rental credit for purchase. If your young person is interested in still playing, continue renting. That's super important so that you are building that rental credit to buy whenever you're ready. And even though your student may start on a clarinet, if they progress up to play an alto sax, we can exchange up for that. That money transfers with it. So as you get into a higher price instrument, it can be very helpful and beneficial then to you also as the person in charge of the funds.
Yeah. And a lot of smaller kids that want to play sax, I would recommend starting on clarinet. I've had a few small ones want to play sax. It's a big instrument. It's bigger than it looks, and it's very heavy. So I would recommend they start on clarinet, and then they could move to the saxophone because it's very similar. Yeah. Okay.
I
So
agree on that because I was clarinet and my husband was sax.
there you go.
So I gotcha.
So a couple other questions we have here. You do not send the money for the rentals to me. It goes through Music and Arts. If you borrow it from the school, I will give it to them here at school on the same day that the rentals come. But I will send you an application and a loan form to bring to me so I can fill out the serial number and everything like that. And again, just email me and tell me your specific situation and I'll send you the application. Final instrument decisions will probably be made. I'm going to try and make them by Friday. So I will have the 5th grade teachers have the students fill out a survey on what instrument they have chosen. If they have not chosen it, then I might just choose for them, depending on what instrumentation we have. And then they do take their instruments to school on Wednesdays. That is when they have class. They leave them at home after during the week. I do have a storage room, but it's not huge. So in the morning, they can bring their instruments, drop them off in my room, and then they will have them for class. And then at the end of the day, they can come and pick them up. I would not recommend them taking them to their classroom and leaving them outside their classroom. It gets very hot. That's not good for the instrument. And sometimes they forget their instrument. So I would recommend they leave it in the music room during the day and come and get it after school.
I'm sorry, I zoned out a little bit. Did you say when they arrive that day, like on Wednesdays with their instrument, to go straight to the music room and leave them there?
Yes, on Wednesday
Okay.
in the morning before school, they can come and leave their instrument in my storage room, use it during class, put it away there during class, and then at the end of the day, they can come and get it. And then practice. I recommend they practice as much as possible. As much time as they have to practice, they should practice. But my recommendation would be at least 3 times a week. It could be for 10 minutes. If they practice at all, they will progress. If they do not practice at all, then it's going to be hard for them to progress. So I do expect them to practice, even if it's for short times. Maybe they could even practice in after school. I have had students just stand outside the after school classroom and practice their instruments. So it is possible. Are there any other questions? Are oboes allowed? Yes, oboes are allowed. They're not the easiest instrument, and I do not have any for them to try, but he can definitely try the instrument. And if he decides, yes, I love this, I can do it, perfect. The oboe is a great instrument if you wanted to get a music scholarship, because it's a very rare instrument. And same thing with oboe and French horn. So yeah, he could try the oboe for sure. But if you wanted to switch it after, if he was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, I would recommend the clarinet, very similar, right? Maybe the flute has similar fingerings as well, just sideways. Okay, are there any other questions? No? Great. If you do have any other questions that come to mind, feel free to email me. If you have questions for Stephanie, is it okay if I send them your email if they have questions for you, Stephanie?
Absolutely. You can go ahead and send out my email. And again, remember, folks, you need to rent by Friday afternoon in order for me to make sure we pull everything to bring it for Wednesday. So the sooner the choice is made, come by and see me on Thursday if you need help getting through our website, but it should be pretty simple, musicarts.com, and click on rentals.
And again, Stephanie will be here during back to school night on Thursday for any other questions, or you could bring your phone and have her go through the rental process with you. Yeah. And if your student is I can't talk anymore, interested in a rare instrument like oboe or bassoon, I would love to talk to them about it. I would recommend that they get lessons, because I played oboe for 1 semester and that's it. I've never played a bassoon. I know the basics, but I would not consider myself a bassoonist or an oboist. So I would recommend they get lessons, because those instruments are definitely unique instruments. And I would want them to get the best training possible. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope I answered all your questions.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Stephanie and Cymbeline. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too, all of you.
Bye.